And all of a sudden I couldn't accept this apology. I'm sitting there angry and I begin to cry. And I'm saying to myself, I have no idea why I'm crying. I have no idea why I can't just be like, oh, I forgive you.
Can't have one without the other. The dark without the light.
Hello, beautiful creatures. Welcome to my channel. I am Aradia, the Witch of Dark Light, and I hope you all are doing well. This is a video that wasn't scheduled, like most of my videos, but which is probably why you see me sitting here with this hat on my head. I was just chilling, and something led me to want to make this video because I've had so many questions about it. It and another topic that I will discuss after this. And for this video, I want to talk about my past lives and also share with you after that some of the things that I think can help you potentially connect to your past life or lives, because we have many. A lot of times we take a part of that, we carry a part of that with us throughout many lives, and we feel things, we have a fear of things, and we love things, and certain things that we are drawn to is all a part of a lot of our past lives. For example, I have this fear of water, and I don't know, it's been with me ever since I can remember, which is the reason why today I really don't know how to swim. It's so bad that, and I've shared this, I believe, in one of my videos on this channel, that when I go to take a shower, and I go to, rinse my face off, it's like a whole production. I have to like get myself ready, hold my breath, and kind of flash through the water. It's really quite comical. But so let me share with you a couple of my past lives, and also what I think can help, because this is a common theme for myself and other people that have had these experiences. Okay, so the first time that I have had a past life regression is what they call it. It wasn't something that I was seeking, because to be honest, at the time I didn't understand the whole thing, and I didn't understand how accessible it was for you to be able to understand and connect with one of your past lives. So it was through a coven sister. At the time I was in this coven, and she was going through a schooling of understanding how to become a therapist, aiding those to connect with their past lives. So in order for her to go through the whole schooling, she had to do practice. And so she called on us, for those who are interested in learning about their past lives, if they want to help, to give her the hours that she needed. So of course I volunteered. And what happened was she, as most past life regressionists do, they put you into a state, kind of a hypnotic state, but not really. But so it's a meditative state. So they bring you into this meditative state and kind of get you in the zone, and they are essentially guiding you through this process to get your mind to a certain state of awareness. And it can be quite difficult for some, because if you aren't a person that meditates or spends the time with your thoughts and in a relaxed state, it can be kind of difficult, especially those who have a tough time recalling dreams and all of those types of things. So for me, it was fairly easy, which is why I believe that that process, I went right into it. So what happened was, she was guiding me through, and she developed, in like you do in meditation, she created a space, like a room. She walks you through and you construct this room, you build this room in your mind. And I believe this is all a part of the process that helps you go deeper into a trance. So what happens is, you're developing this room, and most of the time when that happens, when a person's being like the person that's the guide in meditation, they give you the foundation, but you typically add to that in building. You are essentially the architect in what it is that you're seeing, along with your intuition and other things. So I began to build that place, and what it started looking like is, I was in the universe. Like, it was a hall in the middle of the universe, because I remember it was like the cosmos and the stars. So it's kind of translucent. So I was like in a hall, a long hall full of doors. I was inside, but I could still see the outside. Very weird. But as all astral and dream images are, this is what it was that I was seeing. So it was a hall of doors. Just out of nowhere, I'm in this hallway, and this guide appears, and he's very it's androgynous and very luminous. So it was like he was fluorescent, light blue, kind of glowy. And she asked me to ask what their name was, and he said Prometheus. And at that time, I knew nothing about Prometheus, who he was, and mythology, any of it. So I said, he said his name was Prometheus, and this whole time I'm laying out on her sofa, and still in this relaxed state. And so what Prometheus does is he opens the first door. The first door I went through was one of my past lives, and it was I felt it. The thing about when you go through your connecting with one of your past lives, you really know it because you feel the emotion of that moment. It's like you're back there again. So what happened was, he opens the door, and all of a sudden I see, very Atlantean, I see like crystallized almost mountains, and I see a lot of water. All I can remember was blue, a lot of blues. And I was on this mountain ledge, and I was I think I was like, I don't know if I was, because he called me Princess something. I can't remember now. I wrote it down somewhere, and I can't find where I wrote it at. But he stood there with me because he was my guide. He came in, and, he was showing me what was happening. And I remember standing there over the ledge, because for some reason I escaped, or I wasn't one of the ones, maybe because I was a princess, and I had the means to escape. I don't know, but I remember seeing my people in the city going underwater. And the moment I remember looking over the ledge, seeing all of this happening, like this destruction happening, I was laying on her couch crying. And because I felt it, I remember it. And that was a little bit of showing me that part, because most of the time when you do past life regression, you're not going to get the whole story all at once, because it can be overwhelming, and you're not fully acclimated to that when this was my first time doing it. So I got that small portion. And so I guess because it was overwhelming, my guide Prometheus was like, okay, it's time to go. Let's come out this room and close that past life. So that door was closed. So as my past life regressionist guide, she was like, okay, let's go back into a meditative state, relax from those emotions, so that we can see what happens next. So Prometheus begins to take me to the next door. And in the next door, which I think till today still gives me chills, because I had done some things prior to, it kind of was almost around the same time, but I didn't connect it to until later. And I've told this story before, but this past life, I remember walking through the door and it was completely different. It was, I was on Earth, and it was, I forget the date, that, I don't know if it was like the 1400s. Anyway, I'm this woman, because the coven sister was telling me, what do I have on, like what's my surroundings, what am I wearing. So I began to describe the clothing that I had on. It was very like peasant garment, and I had a satchel on the side of like some kind of rope that was my belt, and it was full of like herbs. So I remember I was by myself, and I'm standing, I'm looking, I could just, all around me was trees and the forest. And then I remember looking over out into a small village. And it was like I was hiding in the woods, and I was looking over the village, because that's where I was going to help people with my herbs. I was like this, I guess, medicine woman. And what happened was, at some point I felt the fear, and the soldiers came, and it was 2 or 3 of them. And I remember describing what they had on. I'm seeing it now, because I remember these things very vividly. And they was on a horse, and they came to take me in. And after that, I couldn't remember. I came out of the meditative state, and I'm now that I'm thinking about it, I think there was the disruption, and the past life recall ended because of the emotion that became heightened. So it kind of cut it off, and I had to be able to understand that. So that past life ended, and I came out the door, and I don't know if I wasn't ready for the next door, but that had ended. And I guess, as my past life regressionist guide, coven sister, and Prometheus, I guess, that was my team. So I guess not overwhelming me, because, those things are overwhelming, especially when you actually make that connection. You tap into what you felt in those past lives. So just to be able to acclimate that understanding and process it, I think I was only allowed to be able to see 2, which I think was phenomenal, because I didn't think that, I went in with some doubt for sure. So a little bit about the understanding with the who I was with that second past life, the medicine woman. What had happened was, there was this whole Facebook issue, and at the time my name was Mrs. Arcanum. I've been Arcanum for quite some time, so it led me to have to, with the Facebook issue, to consider a first name. So I went through like this whole spiritual journey research to try to give myself a first name. And I kept hearing Aradia. So I was like, oh, that sounds nice. Let me look to see who that is. So I did my research, and I even, at the time, I purchased this book that I have here, The Gospel of Aradia, or The Gospel of Witches, which is Italian folklore, or mythology, if you will. So I did the research on that, and of course everything resonated because of, who her mother was, which is Diana, and her father, Lucifer. And what had happened was, when I started reading that, and I don't know if it was in this book or because I was doing the research, I was digging, but there was a scenery in a picture of Aradia where she was overlooking, she was in this forest area, and she was overlooking the village. And I can't remember if it was she was actually standing in it, but the view from the picture was the forest looking over the village. It sent chills chills down my spine, and everything all connected and made sense. Now, I'm not saying that's who I was. I don't know what that past life meant. If that was a version of who I was in my past life, I don't know. But these things are not coincidences. This name called out to me. I did the research. I had no idea who she was, and I had that past life regression before I saw the imagery of Aradia. So that's a little bit about that, and my name, which I spoke about, I think in a I don't know, one of the videos I did a while ago. But so the next one wasn't a past life regression, but it brought me to my past life. And that was when, and I did a video on this, was when I did we went to a seance. And this was my very first seance. So I didn't know what to expect, but, I'm the type of person that, like, oh, we're going to try something magical, spiritual, anything of the occult. We're going to try something. I'm like there. So I was like, okay, let's do this. And I was like the first, as soon as I sat down, we got into the zone, and we're sitting there talking, just, sipping on our drinks, because, sometimes in between visitations, it could take a few minutes. So we're just, you sit around and chat. But a few people began to tell me that there was someone there for me, and they began to describe him. And I'm not going to go, because every time I think about it, again, you really feel those emotions. It was someone from my past life, which was not a past life that was I don't know if this was one of my past lives that I just, came out of, because it wasn't that long ago, but it was during slavery. And his name was Thomas. I don't remember if they didn't give his full name. It was just Thomas, and he was this general, and he was standing there with flowers to give to me. And the whole thing was, he was I don't know if he was my lover, or he was somebody that I really cared about and trusted, because he was there apologizing to me for not being able to do what he had promised, and that was to help me escape through, I guess, the Underground Railroad or something, escape my fate. And so he was there to apologize. And all of a sudden, I couldn't accept this apology. I'm sitting there angry, and I began to cry. And I'm saying to myself, I have no idea why I'm crying. I have no idea why I can't just be like, oh, I forgive you. And all of these emotions came over me. And funny enough, now that I'm recalling, um, they he called me Diana, and I remember feeling that. I remember feeling like I was Diana in that moment, and he was there, and they said they could see him kneeling down and reaching out to hand me the flowers. So I had to someone came over to hug me. I had to like calm myself down and remember that I'm not there anymore, and I had to. I mean, you don't have to, but I wanted to be okay and forgive him so that he could move on. This man was following me around for quite some time because I had a reading maybe about a year before that. And the tarot reader was like, you have someone with you. And I had no idea who she was talking about. So I left not knowing who she was talking about. But she told me there's this man and he looks like he's dressed in some kind of military clothing, and he's there following me around. But he was evidently following me throughout my life to try to get this message out to me to apologize. Wow. So that was another past life that had presented itself because this person from that past life was kind of haunting me until, he was able to speak to me. So, and time, as we know, is different in the astral realm. But so those are 3 past lives. I definitely have done more past life regressions, and there's more. But I just want to talk about those here with you today. And the next thing I want to talk about is what you can potentially do to help you tap into connecting with your past lives. So the first thing is, if you look at what I've just shared with you, the first thing is understanding you need a guide. Now that guide can be the past life regressionist, right? This is who we go to help us recall these memories, and reaching out to the same way that you reach out to your spirit guides. Reach out and call out for aid. One of your spirit guides, you may not know who they are, so you just call out to spirit guides, light a candle, and commune with them and sit and meditate and ask for help with recalling your past life. Now you can do this and do it with asking for help from a specific spirit that you would like help with. So whatever that is for you, angels, entities, whatever that is for you, call to them and ask them, whoever your patron is, ask them to help guide you to recalling your memories. Now, how those steps can be even more helpful is if you practice your psychic development. And I know that's like a big ask for a big thing for people that have an issue with that. But this is, if you are, the more connected you are, the more you're able to tap into your past life and recall them and remember them, because a lot of people have problems remembering your dreams because we're not meant to remember all of them. But some we are, but we have a difficulty remembering because we're not connected, we're not tapped in. So by practicing tapping in, and what that can look like is you sit in meditation. Yes, that dreaded word meditation, but it's not going anywhere as long as you are on this spiritual path. The word meditation is not going anywhere. So these are things you have to be disciplined in. If you are truly someone that wants to connect to your past lives and recall and all of these things, you have to be disciplined. So you have to, what that means is, in this case, you spend a few minutes each day, hopefully, and take those moments to develop your psychic awareness by meditating and recalling images or creating, building images. So you could practice developing your psychic ability by creating and building images within your mind, and building them and breaking them down. So maybe just like I mentioned in that first, in those first two past life regressions, what my guide did was help me build, become the architect to what it was I needed to see. So practice that. Practice building in your brain, in your third eye, and spend time doing that, because that will help you to have better control, help you to connect to the astral, because this is the place of your third eye. Your third eye is within the realms of your imagination. So the better you work with your imagination, the better you are able to build and construct to be able to tap into the other world. So work on that, as well as reaching out to some guide. And, not a lot of us can afford going to someone that is a past life regressionist, but if you can, then definitely do that, because what you will find if you are able to do that, in whatever way that you decide to work with connecting to your recalling your past lives, what they can do is, because now looking back, I understand why I have some of the fears that I have. You find out ways that you died in your past lives, and those can translate over into your current life, and you have the fear from those things. So recalling things can help you better understand why you may be the way you are in certain parts of your life, certain areas of your life, and maybe why you have mental blocks. All of these things can be answered sometimes when you recall your past life or your memories. And even in my case, I can absolutely say that as well. You can look at the past lives that you may have had with your some of your soul family, and see that the people that you are, maybe that's in your life currently, maybe some of them were in your past lives, and you can recall that as well. So I wanted to share my experiences and what I think was helpful in how I was able to recall my past lives. So, and then there's always the seance route. So if you want to practice that, this will segue me into on the 17th, I will be holding a free live Zoom called Spirit Connect, where we will be sort of practicing and calling in spirits that may potentially want to connect with you, and maybe you may have a past life present itself within, that time, and you can even practice your gifts of discernment. So let me know. The way that you can join is email me at arabia@thewitchofdarklight.com, but that information will be in the description, so that you can reach out to me and let me know that you are want to be available, because there's still some more seats left for those of you who want to join. But that will be on the 17th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you have any questions about past lives and or want to share some of your past life experiences, please do let me know in the comments, because I think this is so interesting. And, you know, especially those that find out that this is why you are the way you are with certain things in your life. Those things interest me. And yeah, so let me know in the comments. And also let me know if this is something you're interested in getting into. So that is it for today, for this video. Until the next one, I love you all, and into the shadows.